How often do we ponder the sequence of events that have led to the Israel wars as we know them today? The establishment of Israel in 1948 marked the beginning of a new era, an era that would be characterized by a complex interplay of history, politics, and human strife. This was an event of critical importance, celebrated by some and mourned by others, triggering the first of many subsequent conflicts. The following year, the Arab-Israeli War, also known as the War of Independence, took center stage as a pivotal moment that marked the beginning of decades of turmoil. The Arab-Israeli War, a momentous instance, set the stage for the decades of turmoil that would follow. It's a complex tapestry of human struggle, punctuated by moments of peace and escalation alike. As we delve deeper into the narrative of the Israel Wars, we come across another crucial event that occurred in the late 1950s, known as the Suez Crisis. This event was a direct result of the nationalization of the Suez Canal by Egypt's president, Gamal Abdel Nasser. The crisis unfolded as a military attack on Egypt by Britain, France, and Israel, aiming to regain Western control of the canal and remove Nasser from power. However, the crisis ended with a political victory for Egypt as the United States, the Soviet Union, and the United Nations forced Britain, France, and Israel to withdraw. This event had profound implications, not only for the region, but also for the global balance of power. This marked a significant shift in the Middle East's political landscape, with Egypt emerging as a prominent player. Moreover, the Suez Crisis highlighted the growing tension between Israel and its Arab neighbors, setting the stage for the conflicts that would follow in the years to come. This included the Six-Day War, where Israel's preemptive strike against Egypt, Jordan, and Syria resulted in a swift and decisive victory, leading to the occupation of the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, and the Golan Heights. This war substantially shifted the power dynamics in the region, a story that we will explore in our next scene. As we navigate through the intricate web of Israel's history, we transition from the aftermath of the Suez Crisis to a period of relative calm in the early 1960s. This calm, however, was deceptive, as beneath the surface the tensions were simmering, and the stage was being set for the conflicts to come. During this period, the Arab states, still smarting from their defeats in the Arab-Israeli War and the Suez Crisis, began to regroup and rearm. They were united by a common goal: the elimination of Israel, a sentiment that was echoed in the famous 3 no's of the 1967 Khartoum Resolution. No peace with Israel, no recognition of Israel, no negotiations with it. The early 1960s also saw the inception of the Palestine Liberation Organization, PLO. Founded in 1964 with the goal of the liberation of Palestine through armed struggle, the PLO soon became the most prominent representative of the Palestinian people on the international stage. Meanwhile, Israel, aware of the gathering storm, began to prepare for the inevitable conflict. The result was the Six-Day War of 1967, a war that would once again shift the power dynamics of the region and lead to the occupation of the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, and the Golan Heights, which we will delve into in the forthcoming scene. As we transition from the calm yet deceptive period of the early 60s, we find ourselves in the midst of a gathering storm. The international politics of the time played a significant role in shaping the course of the conflict. The Cold War rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union, the 2 superpowers of the day, spilled over into the Middle East, with both powers seeking to extend their influence in the region. The United States, in particular, began to develop a close relationship with Israel, providing it with economic and military aid. The Soviet Union, on the other hand, sought to cultivate ties with the Arab states and the PLO, providing them with weapons and diplomatic support. This global power play would eventually culminate in the Six-Day War, a war that would once again redefine the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. Meanwhile, on the ground, the Palestinian people, under the banner of the PLO, continued their struggle for self-determination, a struggle that would gain international attention and sympathy. In the present day, the situation remains fraught. The latest round of violence started with rocket attacks from Hamas and counterstrikes by Israel. The tragic loss of life and humanitarian crisis have caught the attention of the international community. The role of technology and defense systems, particularly Israel's Iron Dome, is crucial in intercepting rockets and mitigating damage. Meanwhile, other nations like Finland are looking towards Israeli companies to bolster their own defense capabilities. This complex interplay of international politics, regional conflict, and technological advancement sets the stage for the next scene, where we delve into the Six-Day War and its aftermath. As we transition from an era of international politics, we find ourselves amidst rising tensions and a significant event in the history of the conflict: the Palestinian Exodus. The displacement of Palestinians, often referred to as Nakba, or the catastrophe, saw approximately 700,000 Palestinians leave their homes during the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. This exodus resulted in a refugee crisis that continues to shape the political landscape of the Middle East today. Voiceover. The plight of the Palestinian refugees became a rallying point for the Arab nations, further escalating the tension in the region. The world watched as the refugee camps grew, and the United Nations intervened, setting up relief agencies to provide aid. However, the situation was far from resolved. The Palestinians' demand for their right to return to their homes was met with stiff resistance from Israel, who argued that such a move would alter the demographic balance of the Jewish state. This period of the conflict marked a significant increase in international involvement, with nations divided in their support for Israel and Palestine. Meanwhile, the PLO continued their struggle, gaining recognition as the sole legitimate representative of the Palestinian people by Arab nations, and later by the United Nations. As the world grappled with the escalating crisis, the stage was set for the next major conflict: the Six-Day War, a confrontation that would starkly shift the geopolitical dynamics of the Middle East. As we move to the next scene, we delve into the details of this war and its aftermath. The Six-Day War in 1967 marked a significant turning point. Over the course of 6 days, Israel launched a preemptive strike against Egypt, Jordan, and Syria, resulting in a swift and decisive Israeli victory. This war substantially shifted the power dynamics in the region and led to the occupation of the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, and the Golan Heights. Fast forward to the 21st century, where the conflicts have evolved but the tension remains. The Second Intifada, beginning in the year 2000, was characterized by suicide bombings, shootings, and violent protests. It was a period of heightened conflict that lasted for 5 years, resulting in a significant loss of life and a further deterioration of relations. In the present day, the situation remains fraught. The latest round of violence began with rocket attacks from Hamas, leading to a series of counterstrikes by Israel. This has resulted in a tragic loss of life and a humanitarian crisis that has drawn the attention of the international community. In the midst of all this, the role of technology and defense systems cannot be overlooked. Israel's Iron Dome, developed with assistance from the United States, has been instrumental in intercepting rockets and mitigating damage. Meanwhile, other nations like Finland are looking towards Israeli companies to bolster their own defense capabilities. To summarize, the Israel wars are not a single event, but rather a series of conflicts spanning decades. They began with the establishment of Israel and have evolved through wars, intifadas, and ongoing skirmishes. The role of technology, particularly in defense, has become increasingly significant in these conflicts. The situation today is a reflection of this complex history, marked by moments of violence and peace, triumph and tragedy. And so, the world watches and waits, hoping for a resolution that will bring lasting peace to the region.